You came home last night and poured a drink before you even sat down. You did not think about it. Your hand just moved. Keys on the counter, jacket on the chair, glass in hand. Liquid relief sliding down your throat before you even processed the day. Or maybe it was not a drink. Maybe it was the screen, the scroll, the video, the game, the substance, the habit you swore you would quit, but somehow always return to when the pressure mounts. You told yourself you earned it. You told yourself you needed it. You told yourself this is just how you unwind, how you cope, how you survive the weight of being a man in a world that demands everything and thanks you for nothing. And maybe you do survive, but you are not thriving. And somewhere beneath the numbness, you know it. Here is what nobody tells you about stress. It is not supposed to feel good. That sounds obvious. But most men live as though stress is an error, a malfunction, something wrong with their life that needs to be fixed, escaped, or medicated away. It is none of those things. Stress is the friction of a life that matters. Stress is the resistance that comes from carrying responsibility, from building something, from protecting someone, from becoming who you are meant to become. Remove all stress and you remove all growth. Remove all pressure and you remove all purpose. Remove all friction and you become a man who slides through life without ever gripping anything meaningful. You do not need less stress. You need more capacity. Think about your muscles. When you lift a weight, the muscle fibers tear. This is stress at the cellular level. Damage, strain, pressure that the muscle was not quite ready to handle. And what happens? The muscle rebuilds stronger. It adapts, it grows. It develops the capacity to handle tomorrow what it could not handle today. But only if you let it. Only if you do not interfere with the process. Only if you eat, sleep, recover, and return to lift again. Only if you trust that the stress is building something, even when it feels like breaking something. Your mind works the same way. Your spirit works the same way. Your character works the same way. Stress is the weight that forces adaptation. Pressure is the resistance that builds strength. Difficulty is the curriculum that produces wisdom. But most men never get the benefit, because the moment the pressure builds, they reach for relief. They short-circuit the process. They interrupt the adaptation. They steal from themselves the very growth the stress was designed to produce. The drink does not help you carry the weight. It prevents you from building the strength to carry it. The escape does not relieve the pressure. It ensures the pressure will crush you next time. I am not here to shame you for your vices. I am here to show you what they cost. Every man has reached for something to numb the edge. Every man has sought escape when the walls close in. This is human. This is understandable. This is the path of least resistance that every nerve in your body screams for when the load gets heavy. But understanding is not permission. And what is understandable is not always acceptable. You were not built to be understood. You were built to be strong. And strength is never built through escape. It is built through endurance, through facing what you want to flee, through standing when everything in you wants to sit, through feeling the full weight of reality without reaching for something to make it lighter. This is the path of the man who becomes unbreakable, not the man who never feels pressure, the man who feels it fully and does not flinch, not the man who has no stress, the man who has much stress and handles it with discipline, not the man whose life is easy, the man whose life is hard and who rises to meet it anyway. Your vices lie to you. They promise relief but deliver dependency. They promise peace but produce shame. They promise escape but create a prison. The first drink makes you feel better. The 100th drink makes you feel nothing. The 1000th drink makes you feel trapped in a cycle you no longer control. This is the arc of every vice. Initial relief, diminishing returns, eventual bondage. What started as a choice becomes a compulsion. What began as a tool becomes a master. What you once controlled now controls you, and the stress you were trying to escape, it multiplied, because now you have the original pressure plus the consequences of your coping mechanism. Now you have the weight you started with, plus the weight of the habit you built. Now you carry not just the stress of life, but the stress of a life complicated by dependency. The vice did not solve the problem, it became the problem. So what do you do instead? When the pressure mounts, when the walls close in, when every fiber of your being screams for relief, what does the man do who refuses to numb? He breathes. This is not poetry. This is physiology. When stress activates your nervous system, your breath becomes shallow. Your heart rate increases. Your body prepares for fight or flight. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for rational thought, goes offline. You cannot think clearly in this state. You cannot make good decisions. You cannot access wisdom. You cannot respond with intention. You can only react with instinct. And your instinct has been trained toward escape. Breath reverses this. Deep, slow, intentional breath activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It signals safety to your brain. It brings the prefrontal cortex back online. It creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, you can choose, not react. Choose. This is where discipline lives, in the space between pressure and response, in the moment between feeling and action, in the breath that interrupts the automatic reach for escape. He moves his body. Stress is energy. It is cortisol and adrenaline surging through your system, preparing you for action that never comes. In ancient days, this response preceded running from predators or fighting enemies. The chemicals would be burned through physical exertion. Now you sit. You sit in traffic with stress hormones flooding your body. You sit at your desk with adrenaline meant for survival. You sit on your couch with a nervous system primed for action while you do nothing. And then you wonder why you feel like you are going to explode. Move, run, lift, walk, fight, swim, climb, anything that burns the chemicals and completes the stress cycle. This is not optional wellness advice. This is how your body was designed to process pressure. A man who does not move his body will be moved by his vices. A man who does not burn the stress will be burned by it. A man who does not complete the cycle will be completed by it. Exercise is not about looking good. It is about staying sane. He talks to God, not the rote prayer of habit, not the religious performance of memorized words. The raw, honest, desperate conversation of a man who knows he cannot carry this alone. David did this. The man after God's own heart was also a man intimately acquainted with stress, hunted by kings, betrayed by friends, burdened by guilt, surrounded by enemies, weighed down by responsibility. And what did he do? He poured out his heart. Read the Psalms. They are not polished prayers. They are the cries of a man under pressure, honest, raw, sometimes angry, sometimes afraid, sometimes confused, but always directed upward. This is the key. The stress does not disappear, but it is no longer carried alone. The weight does not vanish, but it is shared with shoulders infinitely stronger than yours. Cast your burden on the Lord, the scripture says, and he will sustain you. Not remove the burden, sustain you under it, not eliminate the pressure, give you the strength to endure it. This is what prayer does. It does not change your circumstances, it changes your capacity. It does not remove the weight. It connects you to the one who can carry anything. He speaks to a brother. Isolation is where men die, not physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. The pressure that could be halved through sharing doubles in silence. The weight that could be lightened through conversation crushes in isolation. The stress that could be processed through connection festers in solitude. Most men have no one, not because no one cares, because they never opened their mouth. Because they learned that men are supposed to handle things alone. Because vulnerability feels like weakness and silence feels like strength. But silence is not strength. Silence is where vices grow. Silence is where shame multiplies. Silence is where small problems become big problems and big problems become disasters. Find a brother, one man, one trusted friend, one person who will hear you without judgment and speak truth without softness, not to solve your problems, just to witness them. There is power in being known. There is freedom in being heard. There is strength in the simple act of speaking what you have carried silently. This is not weakness. This is the wisdom that keeps men alive. He adjusts his expectations. Most stress is not about circumstances. It is about the gap between expectations and reality. You expected the project to go smoothly. It did not. You expected the relationship to be easy. It is not. You expected the money to come quickly. It has not. You expected life to be different by now. It is not. And the gap between what you expected and what you have produces stress. The wider the gap, the greater the pressure. Sometimes circumstances must change, but often expectations must change first. Not to lower your standards, to release your timeline, not to accept mediocrity, to embrace the difficulty of excellence, not to abandon your vision, to accept the longer road to reach it. The man who expects life to be easy will be crushed by its difficulty. The man who expects life to be hard will be strengthened by it. Adjust your expectations, not downward. Realistically, expect the struggle. Expect the resistance. Expect the setback and the delay and the obstacle. And when they come, you will not be surprised. You will not be shattered. You will nod and say, "Yes, this is part of it." And you will keep walking. He simplifies. Most men are stressed because they carry weight they were never meant to carry. Obligations they should have declined. Commitments they should have refused. Possessions that own them instead of serve them. Relationships that drain instead of fill. They said yes when they should have said no, and now they are buried under the accumulation of yeses that should have been nos. Simplify. Look at your life. What can be eliminated? What can be delegated? What can be declined? Not everything is your burden. Not every request requires your yes. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. The strongest men are not those who carry the most. They are those who know what to carry and what to leave behind. Prune your life. Cut away what does not serve your purpose. Release what does not align with your calling. Protect your capacity by guarding your commitments. This is not laziness. This is wisdom. A man who carries everything will eventually carry nothing because he will break under the weight of his own inability to say no. He rests, not as escape, as strategy. Sleep is not optional. It is not a luxury for the weak. It is not something to sacrifice on the altar of productivity. Sleep is when your body repairs, when your mind consolidates, when your emotions regulate, when your capacity to handle stress is rebuilt. A man who does not sleep will break. Not eventually. Soon. The research is clear. Sleep deprivation degrades every faculty you need to handle pressure. Decision-making suffers. Emotional regulation collapses. Stress hormones spike. Immune function drops. You cannot outwork your need for rest. You cannot hustle your way around biology. You cannot perform well while slowly destroying yourself. Rest is not weakness. Rest is the rhythm of sustainability. Even God rested. On the seventh day after creation, he rested, not because he was tired, because he was establishing a pattern, a rhythm of work and rest that would sustain everything that came after. You are not exempt from this pattern. Work hard, rest hard. Work again. This is the sustainable rhythm of a man who carries weight for decades without collapsing. He builds discipline, not motivation. Motivation will not save you. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. It surges when life is easy and disappears when life is hard. It shows up on good days and abandons you on the days you need it most. You cannot rely on motivation to resist your vices. You cannot wait until you feel like doing the right thing. You must build discipline. Discipline is action independent of feeling. It is doing what must be done because it must be done regardless of whether you want to. Discipline is brushing your teeth when you are tired. Discipline is going to the gym when you would rather sleep. Discipline is choosing water when you want whiskey. Discipline is facing the stress when everything in you wants to flee. This is not built overnight. It is built through repetition, through small choices made daily, through the accumulation of moments when you did the hard thing instead of the easy thing. Every time you choose discipline over escape, you strengthen the muscle. Every time you face instead of flee, you build capacity. Every time you endure instead of numb, you become harder to break. This is how men are forged, not in comfort, in discipline. Let me tell you what happens to the man who learns to carry weight. He becomes someone others can lean on. His children look at him and see stability. His wife looks at him and sees safety. His friends look at him and see reliability. His employees look at him and see leadership, because he does not crumble when things get hard, because he does not flee when pressure mounts, because he does not reach for escape when reality demands engagement. He stands, and in standing he becomes a shelter for others caught in their own storms. This is the gift of the man who can carry weight, not just his own survival, the survival of everyone connected to him. The man who numbs abandons more than himself. He abandons his wife, who needs a present husband. He abandons his children, who need a stable father. He abandons his purpose, which needs a capable carrier. He abandons his future, which needs a disciplined builder. Every vice is a small abandonment. Every escape is a tiny desertion. Every numbing is a moment where you chose absence over presence. And those moments accumulate. They accumulate into a life half-lived, a potential half-realized, a family half-fathered, a purpose half-fulfilled. You were not made for half. You were made to be fully present, fully engaged, fully alive, even when life is fully difficult. This is your calling. This is your design. This is the man you were built to be. Stress will not stop. Let me be clear about this. There is no level of success, no amount of money, no achievement that eliminates stress. The pressures change, but the pressure remains. The man who makes more money has more complex problems. The man who achieves more carries more responsibility. The man who builds more has more to maintain. Stress is not a season you pass through. It is a companion you learn to walk with. The goal is not a life without weight. The goal is a life with the strength to carry it, and that strength is built through every moment you choose to face instead of flee, through every decision to endure instead of escape, through every discipline practiced when the vice was calling. You are building something. Every day, every choice, every moment of stress faced instead of numbed. You are building capacity, building character, building the kind of man who can handle what is coming. Because more is coming, more responsibility, more pressure, more weight, and you will either be ready or you will be crushed. The choice is made now, in the small moments, in the daily decisions, in the nightly temptations. What will you choose? I want to speak to the man who has already fallen. You reached for the vice last night, or this morning, or an hour ago. The shame is fresh, the guilt is heavy. The voice in your head says you have already failed, so you might as well continue. That voice is lying. One fall does not define you. One stumble does not sentence you. One moment of weakness does not cancel your capacity for strength. You get back up. That is what men do. They fall and they rise. They stumble and they continue. They fail and they begin again. Not tomorrow, now. Not with a fresh start next week. With the next decision. The very next choice you face is an opportunity to choose differently. The very next moment of pressure is a chance to respond instead of react. The very next temptation is a fork in the road. You are not your worst moment. You are the man who rises from it. Consider the weight you are carrying right now. The specific pressures, the particular stresses, the exact burdens that sit on your shoulders at this moment. Now consider this. God knew about every single one of them before you were born. He knew the job would be difficult. He knew the relationship would be strained. He knew the finances would be tight. He knew the health would be challenged. He knew the loss would come. And He still created you. He still placed you here, still gave you this life, still entrusted you with these circumstances. Why? Because He knew you could carry them. Not easily, not without struggle, not without growth, but carry them. He would not give you a weight designed to crush you. He would give you a weight designed to build you. Every pressure is calibrated. Every stress is intentional. Every difficulty is an opportunity disguised as an obstacle. You are built for this weight, not to escape it, to carry it, not to numb it, to face it, not to break under it, to grow through it. The man who carries weight without breaking becomes something rare. He becomes trustworthy. In a world of men who crumble, he stands. In a world of men who flee, he remains. In a world of men who numb, he feels. And the world notices, not with applause, with responsibility. More is entrusted to the man who proves he can carry more opportunity, more influence, more impact. This is the reward of endurance. Not less weight, more capacity, not easier circumstances. Greater strength, not the removal of stress, the ability to handle stress that would destroy others. This is what you are building. Every day you face instead of flee. Every moment you endure instead of escape. Every temptation you resist instead of indulge. You are becoming the man who can be trusted with more. Stop running. Stop numbing. Stop reaching for the easy escape that makes everything harder. Turn and face the weight. Feel it fully. Acknowledge its pressure. Recognize its presence. And then stand. Breathe deeply. Move your body. Pray honestly. Talk to a brother. Adjust your expectations. Simplify your commitments. Rest strategically. Build discipline daily. And carry. Not because it is easy, because you were built for it. Not because it feels good, because it produces good. Not because you want to, because this is who you are. A man who carries weight without breaking. A man who faces stress without fleeing. A man who endures pressure without numbing. Your children are watching. They are learning from you what it means to be a man. They are observing how you handle difficulty. They are absorbing your patterns of coping. What are you teaching them? That stress is solved with a bottle? That pressure is handled with escape? That difficulty is numbed rather than faced? Or are you teaching them something different? That men carry weight, that men face hard things, that men feel fully and still stand firmly. Your example will echo for generations. What you do in your moments of pressure will be repeated by sons and grandsons who never heard you speak, but watched how you lived. Carry well, for them. The weight is not going away, but you can become the man who carries it, not through escape, through endurance, not through numbing, through growth, not through vices, through discipline. This is the path. It is harder than reaching for the bottle. It is slower than scrolling through the screen. It is more painful than numbing the edge. But it leads somewhere. Somewhere good, somewhere strong, somewhere worthy of the man you were designed to become. The vice leads nowhere. It loops back on itself. It circles endlessly. It deposits you exactly where you started, only weaker. Choose the harder path. Choose the one that builds. Choose the one that produces the man you want to be. When the stress rises tomorrow, and it will, you have a choice. The old pattern will call. The familiar escape will beckon. The vice will whisper that you deserve relief. In that moment, remember this. You were built to carry weight. You were designed for pressure. You were created to endure what others cannot. And every time you choose to face instead of flee, you become more of who you were meant to be. Stay awake. The temptation to numb is loudest when you are tired, depleted, and unaware. Stay awake to your patterns. Stay awake to your triggers. Stay awake to the moments when you are most likely to fall. Awareness is the first defense. Stay disciplined, not when you feel like it, especially when you do not. Discipline is the bridge between the man you are and the man you are becoming. Cross it daily. Cross it deliberately. Cross it especially on the hard days. Discipline is the path. Stay rooted. Rooted in purpose, deeper than your pain. Rooted in faith, stronger than your fear. Rooted in truth, more solid than your feelings. When the storm comes, your roots will hold you. When the pressure mounts, your roots will anchor you. When the vice calls, your roots will steady you. The weight is real. The stress is legitimate. The pressure is heavy. But you are a man. And men were built to carry, not to escape, to endure, not to numb, to feel, not to break, to grow. Pick up your weight and carry it like the man you were made to be.